Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
This is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. So today I will be bringing your episode of the week.
Yes, episode 40.
Wow.
40.
40. You know, 4 is my favorite number. So
Same seas.
40 is like big. So we're actually going to stay in Texas again. I'm so sorry, guys. I know mine have been a few in Texas.
I don't think that matters, bro.
I don't think it matters, but you know.
You
whatever.
think about it too hard?
I think I do. I think I'm like, maybe I should do something like in California or something.
No, we're always in California anyways.
Really? You think so?
Yes.
I feel like
you need to do
Texas.
something like in the Midwest, like Kansas or
Well,
like Ohio.
Maybe we don't get those notifications of those
cases.
The
Ohio murders. I mean,
oh yeah, but that one that's
big
like
one.
a big one. Not only that, but I feel like
that was very all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
Not all over the place. I'm sorry, all over the news. But
anyway, just like this intro. So
Yes.
go ahead and grab your cafecitos and let's get started.
So our cafe from today is still sponsored by Miss Rochelle.
Thank you, Miss Rochelle.
That also sponsored our last week's coffee. She's super sweet. I know we already mentioned it last episode, but we also went to a new place.
It's a local also, I think.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. Maybe it looks like a chain a little bit, but I don't know.
I don't think so. Because I think I Googled them and they weren't, like, that was the only one that I saw.
Oh my God, guys, you should have seen it. It's so cute. The door has a coffee. The little side has a little like spaceman holding
It's really
coffee.
cute. You could just go in there.
Cute.
It was packed too, and it was only like 8:30 or something.
It was crazy.
You could have like conferences. There were a lot of people meeting there.
That's where we're gonna meet next time.
Yeah, I
in
told
the big
Barbie.
conference room.
Yeah, and for 2 people.
For 2 people. No,
And
we have other people that could go with us. My kids, you know.
Yeah.
Ahí para que anden corriendo.
Nos van a
But
correr.
for real. So it's really delicious. I got the Americano with I think it was brown sugar cinnamon.
Yes.
Pump. They used to have that. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but they used to have that at Starbucks and they took it away. Just saying.
I got this is what the barista recommended. White mocha with lavender latte. It's really good. I really, really do like it. I like lavender, so.
I'm not a big lavender fan. Siento como que vas a ver mucha flor, como a Doña Florinda and shit.
It's a hint. But I've had lavender and stuff
My
before.
daughter tried it and she liked it.
She liked it too. And if she likes it, then...
Yeah, because
she can be very picky.
Very. So today we're going to be going to Beaumont, Texas.
Down the street.
Down the street. So Beaumont.
By down the street, I'm sorry, we mean like what, an hour?
Beaumont is about, an hour.
Yeah.
Because my husband has worked in Beaumont before and he drives back and forth.
Yeah.
So Beaumont is it's in the border of Louisiana and Texas.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times people can go to Texas and Louisiana at the same time. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so.
No, you can.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah.
When we went to Florida, we drove by Beaumont.
When I went to New Orleans, we drove and you have to go through.
Let me tell you something. They have alligators everywhere over there because they're actually known by like one of the alligator, like high profile alligators. They have a lot of alligators there. I don't think breeds, but anyway, because
Types.
you know Louisiana has swamps and stuff, but Beaumont is so close to Louisiana that they have a lot.
It's swampy.
But that's not my fun fact.
No. Oh, yay.
So my fun fact about Beaumont is that the fun fact about Beaumont is that it is the home of the original world's largest working fire hydrant.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
It works. Yes. It was actually donated by Walt Disney.
No way.
On March the 9th of 1999 for the release of the animated movie 101 Dalmatians, and it is at the Fire Museum of Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. At the time, it was the largest. Of course, there's a larger one now.
Yeah,
I couldn't
but
find
at the time.
but at the time. But it has, it didn't lose its title, is basically.
Yeah.
It has, it works. It works. So you can actually turn it on, and it weighs 4,500 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah. And it can blast 1,500 gallons of water a minute.
Wow. Wait, but the one that's larger now, that wasn't donated by Walt Disney,
No,
right?
it was not.
See, so this one's still.
So that's where we're at. We're in Beaumont.
Wait, how tall is it?
Oh, I didn't read.
Oh, okay.
It didn't have that information,
Sorry.
but it's pretty big. If you Google it, it actually has a picture of it, and it looks like the 101 Dalmatians.
Oh,
like
it's the pintado.
Yeah. Google it.
Okay, so I just pulled it up. It's so cute.
Isn't it cute?
Yeah.
It has like a red on the bottom y luego está todo pintado como
Yeah, it looks like
Dalmatian.
Like it's in the city center and stuff, like in the middle of the
Well,
city.
it says that it's in the Museum of Texas.
Yeah,
of the Fire
so
Museum.
cute.
I didn't know they had a fire museum in Texas, but hey.
It's so cute. That's a good fun fact, sister.
Thank you. Okay, so this brings us to the Elegante Hotel. Elegante Hotel in room 348. So room 348, they actually called it the body of room 348. It was a big deal because, let me tell you why. On September 15, 2010, Mr. Greg Fleniken.
I think I've heard this story before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying. I
actually heard it through a few people that I heard it, but then I read a whole bunch of articles on it. But it was the first person that I heard it from was from Mr. Ballin.
Yes, me too.
So that's where I heard it. But Mr. Ballin, he does the overview. He doesn't really dive into it.
Details,
because he's so awesome.
Yeah,
he posts so
good.
much.
I like his segment of places you're not supposed to go, but people still win anyway. I love those.
So, but I think he posts like 4 videos a week or something. I don't know.
No, he used to, not anymore.
No,
he used to post like almost every day, and now they're down to 1 a week. He's has a whole bunch of other stuff going on now. He has like a podcast and everything,
he does.
He has like a charity.
Oh,
they
good job, Mr. Ballin.
I think they do the podcast in Spanish también. So yeah,
Stop. Does he speak Spanish?
I don't know. I haven't listened to it, but I don't know if he has like translation or something. I don't know. I have no idea, to be honest. But yeah, like he's booked and busy. He's awesome.
No, he's awesome. So if you haven't heard about him,
Mr. Ballin.
Mr. Ballin.
Yeah.
Así se llama, Mr. Ballin. Y luego but he's cool. Anyway, so that's how I heard it.
Yeah.
So Mr. Greg Fleniken. Sorry about that, guys. I actually had to figure out how to say that.
How to pronounce it.
Yeah. Was staying at the hotel for about a week. So this is about how long he usually stays because he was a landman. So a landman is a person that actually goes out to the field of the oil field to go find places to dig oil. Mm-hmm. So he was a landman, and he worked as before that he was a chief engineer out in the sea. So where he spent months at a time just out in the sea.
Wow.
And living in a city of oil, that's all you know. So that's all that everybody, he was an engineer. You're either an engineer or you work in the medical field.
Yeah.
So that's just what it is. So Greg and his brother, Michael, worked together and they started a business called OGM Land Company. So Mr. Greg was responsible for the negotiations, like I said, of the landowning, of anybody that wanted to
dig.
Hey, do you think that I can come over and I can dig a hole in your land so that we can find oil?
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool if you think about it.
So he would go and just go around and just be like, hey, is there somewhere I can dig around here? And they'd be like, yeah, go ahead. No, I'm just
kidding. They had to negotiate, right?
Yeah, like you would negotiate because then you have to know how much you're going to pay them. And what if you do find oil?
Right.
Anyway, that's another big old story. Anyway, so he would usually travel, but his home was actually in Lafayette. Like I said, Lafayette, Louisiana is about 2 hours. So he would travel that every week. So he would get there, let's say on Monday, se venía el domingo, and he would get there Monday, se estaba toda la semana y se regresaba.
Okay, that's doable.
So he would go home on weekends. So he had his routine. He was very set to his routine. He would do the same thing. He would stay at the same hotel. He would drive back and forth home. So based on what his family said about Greg, he was set in his habits. Like he did not do any. And I know a lot of people like that. Also, he did smoke a ton. He was a big smoker and he had been smoking since he was a teen.
Oh shit. Yeah. ¿Cuántos años tenía?
He was in his 40s, like late 40s.
Damn.
Excuse me. He was very neat and organized. So I read somewhere that que tenía todo acomodadito. So like en su bag de donde llegaba, abría todo and he would set up like his botas, his clothes, what he was going to wear. Like todo lo tenía acomodado. He was very organized. Colgaba sus camisas, that kind of thing.
When I travel, I do that.
Yeah, I can just imagine. You know what? You and I have never traveled somewhere like far, like that we have to get a hotel. I mean, we went to like a small place, but it wasn't like we were there long.
Left the state. Mm-hmm. Have we not?
No.
I'm trying to think.
I need to get it together and get my passport.
You do?
I do.
So we can travel.
Anyway, so then he, like I said, oh my God. Anyway, he was very, very neat and organized. So this is a big deal because it makes sense a lot later on in the case. He also loves sweets. So he ate a lot of chocolate. Bien pinche Barbie. Ahorita estoy que en el chocolate yo. And he, in particular, he also could not sleep anywhere unless his AC was on full blast.
Barbie.
And my son, he was known to turn the AC down as much as possible as soon as he got somewhere. Like he was not playing. He was like, I need 50.
AC.
Like at 50, bitch.
Ay, güey, me congelo.
No, tú
Well, you me congelo in 72.
Yeah, like she has like zero body fat, so there's no way. So, y luego también, ya estoy viejita, güey, ya estoy entrando a la pinche menopausia,
Stop it. You're not.
Anyway, and the night, as every other night, that night of the 15th of September, he was laying in bed eating his Reese's peanut butter cup.
Oh,
my favorite.
faves.
And he also had a crispy crunch bar and a root beer.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! 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 He's in the street! Oi! Shot fired! Shot fired! Shot fired! Stay out! You got a gun on you!
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
You know what? I've never had root beer, pero no se me antoja.
So you don't like root beer?
I
Which,
didn't.
¿sabes qué? A mí se me hace que root beer doesn't like you either. So
Well, I've never
it's
had
either-
it, so I don't know. Pero
I've
no se me
had it
antoja. No se me
a
antoja
lo-
probarlo.
A long time ago, cuando yo estaba más chiquilla.
Like a root beer float and stuff like that?
Mi stepdad le gustaba root beer float. Mi stepdad sí comía eso. So yo sí lo probé. It was good.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess sabe.
Or
Is it
como-
like licorice? Because I don't like licorice.
Yeah, kind of like licorice. Como casi medicinita, pero no.
Not Dr. Pepper.
Not Dr. Pepper
Oh, I love
medicina.
Dr. Pepper.
I love Dr. Pepper. So then Greg is laid out. He laid out his candies, puso su coquita, ¿verdad? Sus cigarritos, and he put it all on top of a white towel, acomodadito, next to him, and he started to watch TV. Entonces, he started to watch Iron Man 2. Eso es lo que había en la tele.
Oh, because it was 2010.
It was 2010.
Yeah.
So he also had been emailing back and forth with his wife regarding some tax stuff that she was working on. Y hasta le contestó y le dijo, you know what? Good job, babe. You're doing a great job. They were talking about extending their tax refunds.
Deadline or whatever.
So Susie and her husband, Susie se llamaba su wife. Susie and her husband have been together for more than a decade, and they had gotten a divorce, and then they got remarried.
I always think that's kind of cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah, like that.
is
They're
so
like,
cool.
okay, I couldn't stand you, but now I like you again. So that means we're meant to be.
Yeah, apparently they actually were divorced for a while.
Oh,
and then they connected again. Like
maybe
10
they got
years
married
later.
too young. I don't know. And then they were like together for a while, and they're like, okay, we grew apart, and then they
pero
find
you
each
go-
other
pero,
again.
I mean, I feel like you go and you like find and you like see other dicks and shit, and then you come back to the same dick. Like, you know, like I want to be with you.
But what about him?
Well, see, por eso he go. Well, I'm talking about as Susie because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Pero like as him, he's like, let me go, you know, touch my titties, you know, whatever. Y luego ya, I'll stay with
Maybe.
you. I like that. I feel like that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that break up and then get back together and end up getting married. So I
think
mean,
that's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then on September the 16th, his wife Susie was worried about him because I know when I read this, me acordé de mí because when he's out of town, my husband's out of town. He goes out of town sometimes. And anybody that's around us, like my sister-in-law, all of our people that we know, their husbands go out of town too. So then the first thing that you hear in the morning is you want to see them calling you. Ya llegué, estoy en el trabajo, whatever, or a text. So she did the same. She said, I'm worried because he's been trying to contact him and you know, she had no luck. So then she calls the office that they have in Beaumont and was like, hey guys, I haven't been able to get in contact with my husband. Can you go check on him? So then
the office, they have an office?
They have an office in
Okay.
Beaumont. Yeah, because that's where he worked out of, that office. But he lived in Lafayette.
Lafayette, yeah.
So then Greg had not made it to work. So then she's like, oh shit, like, ya me estoy preocupando because she's like, it's not like him.
Right.
Like I said, he had a routine. He would call her in the morning. Le hacía todo. Entonces, they were like, he's not here. He's not at work. So then she's like, hey, you know what? Can y'all go check on him? The workers at the office were like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to go check on him. It was 2 people. And they got to his room at 3:48 and it was locked. Le tocaron.
En la
Nobody
tarde.
opened. No, ya en la tardecita.
Yeah,
For a
3:48.
little bit. No. To the room 3:48.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No. So it probably, I think it was like around 10 o'clock. They went to go check on him.
When he should have already called her and he should have been into work
Yeah,
already.
I mean, and if you go and knock on the door and if he fell asleep, pues se le oye, you
Yeah,
know?
right, yeah.
So he knocked on the door, nothing. So they went down to the desk and the manager helped them by opening the door. And when they opened the door, Greg was found dead on the floor.
That's crazy.
Like estaba muerto.
With the door that was locked.
Door that was locked.
Right.
Okay. So he was face down.
Okay.
And he had a cigarette in his hand still. But it was in between 2 fingers. So he was holding the cigarette and the room was very warm. It was hot in there.
Which is not like him,
It's
like you
not
said
like
earlier.
him. And his body was already turning kind of grayish blue porque estaba muy caliente adentro del room. Because,
He's
September,
already- yeah.
Beaumont, está caliente.
It's fucking hot.
It's hot as balls. Entonces, they were like, something is not right. They call the cops, the pow. So Detective Scott Apple arrived at the crime scene, which I think his name is so cool.
Scott Apple. How are you not a detective? Like somebody has to call you Detective Apple.
Bro, that's so fucking cool.
Right?
That is so cool. Anyway, so then he gets to the crime scene and there was not much to help the case. So this is really clear since the beginning. They didn't have much because of the fact that there was nothing abnormal. So the door was locked from the inside and there was a large stack, or not a large stack, but he had money in his wallet. He had they were saying about like $10,000.
Oh, damn.
In his wallet of $100 bills, like those are hundreds. And so it wasn't like they robbed him.
That wasn't any type of motive or anything like that.
Everything, something they would have taken. His boots estaban donde estaban all the time. Everything was still organized.
I mean, if you were going to take one thing, si fue alguien que like wanted to rob him, how are you not going to take the fucking money? If you're not going to take anything else, you're going to take the fucking money.
I'm sorry, but I would.
I would too.
I mean, shit, that's a lot of money.
I mean, I say that as somebody who never robbed somebody or has never robbed somebody, but
Bro,
I'm a little bitch.
I could not rob because sabes qué haría? Like, I would be so anxious about robbing them que I would go back and give it back the money.
Same.
Sí me atrevo, like
I wouldn't.
Sí me atrevo a hacerlo, pero luego voy y lo regreso.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm so stupid.
I'm scared.
Anyway, so the guest, the guests that were in the rooms next to him said that they didn't see anything unusual. So he was in the middle room. So 340, what did I say? 348 y luego there's 349 and 350 or 347. Like he was in the middle.
So he had neighbors on both sides.
On both sides,
And maybe even in front,
Maybe
I'm guessing.
even in front,
Right.
yeah. So there was no signs of injury except that he had a rug burn on his face that it looked like he could have gotten. He could have gotten when he fell forward. Like when he fell because he estaba boca abajo. So he could have gotten the rug burn. Then, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how do you get a rug burn? Is usually like if you're like I know some, if you're
sliding.
That's what I'm saying. So was he like dragged? Anyway, that's just my current thoughts. Anyway, go proceed.
So then the thing is, when he fell forward, he probably got that. This is what they're speculating. And then that's all that he could see. There was nothing
Anything
else. Physical. So they searched his belongings to see if there were any drugs or anything that could explain. And no, he was not a drug. He didn't do drugs. He was very clean. So when they did question his wife and his brother Michael, they were told that they were kind of not surprised that he had passed away that suddenly because, let me tell you why. They thought he had died of natural causes. So they thought a heart attack. And so Mr. Greg, he would eat shitty. Like he was already eating out, he was a roadman.
He was a smoker.
He was a smoker. He was a chain smoker and he never exercised.
And
he didn't go to the
sweets.
doctor. He loved sweets. So they're like, typical man.
So that's what initially, like you're saying, que no encontraron he just had that rug burn on his cheek or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't find any other wound or anything.
Nothing.
So they he still had a cigarette in his hand.
So they thought it was a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah. So then that's what they went. Detective Apple said, okay, let's go ahead and get his autopsy. So they took him in for an autopsy to the Jefferson County. That's what I guess the county that was closest or whatever. There after doing his examination and something that there was nothing to be alarmed again in his outside examination. No había nada, just a mark in his cheek, but he did have a small laceration in his groin area. Small laceration, really small. But when they actually opened Greg up, Mr. Greg, is when they found out that his organs were a mess. Like his organs estaban para la chingada. Like they were damaged, his intestines and his liver, and he even had a laceration in his heart.
Oh, damn.
Like he had blown up from the inside.
But there was nothing wrong with him on the outside.
Exactly. So then and he also had 2 broken ribs.
You don't get that from falling, desmayándote, like from sitting on your bed or que estás parado and you fall.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen.
So based on this, the coroner concluded that Greg had to have been killed by a beating or crushed by something hardcore, and that the groin cut had been somebody that had either kicked him or something like that, and that's why he had that little small cut.
But how? Like, it doesn't make sense because you say that, yeah, he had a laceration in his groin, on his groin, whatever. Pero it's so small. How is it compared to the mess that was on the inside with that little ass laceration on his groin on the outside?
Okay, well, let's keep going. So he did say that Greg had to have bled to death. He probably didn't internally in less than a minute. Yeah, he bled so quickly, like rapidito, porque después de que le pasó, I don't know what, so it was a homicide. They were going to rule it a homicide. But Detective Apple estaba como que, no, there's no way. Like, I did not find anything. There was nothing. He said there's nothing in the hotel room that I put cool, COO-berate. Cool berate. So there was nothing that would cooperate with his findings. He was found face down with a cigarette still in his hand. There was no signs of a struggle, and the neighboring hotels, the hotel
Y la
rooms,
puerta estaba cerrada.
La puerta estaba
Tenía
cerrada.
candado.
Y los vecinos, pues, decían que no habían oído nada. Like, there was nothing, you could hear a struggle. This is a grown-ass man.
Exactly. And it's a hotel.
Yeah.
Like, tampoco, I'm sure the walls are paper thin and shit.
Yeah. So the detectives, actually, I didn't know this, but when I was reading, they actually had a door que iba, you know how, I don't know if you've ever been, I've been in a hotel room that this happened, but I don't know, that was in Louisiana. Actually, it was in Louisiana. So a lot of the hotels tienen como una puerta, and it's in between both of the rooms.
Yeah, connecting.
¿Cómo se llama? Jack and Jill?
No, I think
door,
those are restrooms that connect through a restroom, but this is just like a connecting door. I've stayed in a room like that.
Yeah. Then
it connects you to the next room.
They had a door like that in between the two rooms at 348 and 349.
Okay, so he was sharing a door with somebody.
He was sharing a door with somebody. Okay. So Doctor, hoy changos. Oh my God.
Detective Apple.
El Detective Manzana started to work the case.
Like, really, like, be like, okay.
Yeah. He's like, okay, well, I guess they're saying that it was a homicide, so let me start working this case, right? So El Detective Manzana said he didn't have any enemies. He didn't have any enemies, and his marriage was good.
It wasn't like his wife was trying to kill him.
His wife was trying to kill. She had money. They had money.
They were happy. They got remarried for a second time.
Yeah, and they had lots of money.
Yeah,
that wasn't the problem. He did stay at the Elegante a lot, but he didn't even come out of his room. I was reading that some of the hotel people actually had never seen him come out of the room to like the bar.
Like he literally just se iba a dormir y ahí se quedaba. Like that's all he did,
because
literally.
He had his routine. Because he had been staying at this hotel for almost a decade every week.
Quick question, side question. Did they have kids?
No, I didn't read any about kids. I didn't see any kids. So, in fact, like I said, they couldn't remember him ever visiting the hotel room. The hotel bar. Yeah. Like, he doesn't drink.
He smokes, but he doesn't drink.
And he even knew a lot of the staff by their name. He had been going for so long, like every day. So CCTV footage shows that on the night of Greg's murder, he walked into his room. And after that, he never left. Like, they have video of him not leaving.
Salió and nobody going in, ¿verdad?
Nobody came in.
Oh, but they do have that door, right, between rooms.
Well, they had the door, but that wasn't really something that was screaming out to them, hey, look over here, because they talked to everybody and they were like, no vimos nada.
Y tampoco no encontraron nada más.
Nada. No había nada in el room, nothing. So after some investigation from Detective Apple, he found out something unusual had happened the night of Greg's death. So it seems like the maintenance was called up to the room because a breaker had tripped. So Greg had been watching his movie, so se levantó a hacer some popcorn. He got up to make himself some popcorn, and the microwave had tripped the breaker.
Okay.
So then when the breaker tripped, he called downstairs, hey guys, se jodió acá, vengan. So the maintenance man left Greg's room at around 8:30, where he went and he reset the breaker and everything was fine. Y se fue.
Okay, and this is around 8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m.
Okay.
So then this did affect some of the rooms around Greg, but it was all taken care of by the maintenance man.
Right.
Like the maintenance man dijo, ¿sabes qué? I went, I fixed it, and we're good.
Everybody should be fine.
So Detective Apple dijo, bueno, there's two theories. Either it could have been the maintenance man that did something to him, because he had a criminal record.
Okay.
Which pobrecito, because he didn't have anything to do with it.
Okay.
Even though he had a criminal record.
Yeah.
We can change, guys. We can change.
But it's just
like obvious.
You're
like
looking for options. Not options.
Not
but you're
options,
looking
but like
who could have done it?
Yeah. So then,
because he was technically speaking, right? Porque el maintenance man was the last one que miró a Mr. Greg vivo.
Sí, él lo miró la última vez because he was the one helping him fix the breaker because he was getting his popcorn.
So you can watch Iron Man 2.
Yeah, which is a good movie. Yeah. Anyway, but there was no evidence that was pointing to prove it. The other thing that he had that he could think was that it could have been somebody, the neighboring. They had to have known something, the neighbors.
And they were just not saying anything.
They were just not saying anything. So In the neighboring rooms en uno no había nadie, en el otro había unos electricians. They were neighbors of Greg's. They were in room 349. They were also staying at the hotel for work because they were working in the oil fields.
And these guys are the ones that had the connecting door to Greg's room?
Those guys are.
Okay.
But they did go to the bar. And they would drink a lot. They would party a lot. And then estaban todos se iban a chill in everybody else's room. So there was multiple guys. So they would go in different rooms. And then they would drink and stuff.
Yeah.
Based on what my husband tells me, I guess that
actually happens.
That sounds like plausible.
Yeah.
Because... You know, they're bored. Yeah. They don't have anything to do.
It's like when you meet your coworkers for happy hour after you work. You know, everybody just meets up to drink and stuff. You know?
Exactly. So videos from the third floor, which is where they were at, showed that the three men came out of the door, out of the 349. They came out and they went to the bar.
Okay. 3 men.
So the room was actually registered to Lance Mueller and Mr. Tim Steinmetz.
Okay.
But they also had a visitor that night, and it was Trent Pisano. Okay? So these all were electricians. They were all working, chileando, tomándose las cheves, you know, whatever. So Detective Apple thought maybe that they got upset because of the actual
power outage
or whatever, que se chingó la madre esa. And so then they were like, maybe that's why they did something to him. So they go and talk to him.
Because they were drunk.
Yeah, they were drunk. Yeah. And so they went and they beat him up. Because this was the original thing, is that somebody had to have beat him up for his organs and his insides to be this crazy.
Yeah, of course.
And so then they spoke to the gentleman and they seemed concerned and upset, but they said that they didn't know anything about it. They said that, you know, if you need anything from us, let us know, but we have no idea.
They were cooperative.
They said they didn't hear anything.
They didn't see
anything. They were just like, we were just chilling or whatever. And then that's it. Also, there was no CCTV of the men actually entering or going into that room.
Right. From the outside.
From the outside. They were like, okay, well, they didn't go into the room, so he didn't beat them up, or he didn't get beat up by them, or whatever. So then, with time passing, Detective Apple, El Manzana, started to feel like there was no leads. He's like, there's nothing really going on. So after a few months, or maybe, a few months, I guess it was a few months, the case started to become cold. So the family of Greg even offered a $50,000 reward to anyone with information that would lead to the killer. But guess what?
What?
Nada.
That's really hard because, como Detective Manzana was saying, like, his injuries on the outside, there's nothing really but a rug burn and a little small laceration on the groin area.
Yeah.
But his insides are all fucked up.
So then that's why Susie and her family were like, somebody did something and we need to find out what or who. So finally in February 2011, Susie reached out to a PI, private investigator by the name of Ken Brennan. So Mr. Brennan was a PI that was actually a Long Island cop and a DEA agent.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was retired already, whatever, but he did work his PI firm or whatever from Florida. So she calls him and she was really kind of weirded out by the fact that he answered really quickly because he was pretty big on...
He was high profile or whatever.
High profile. And he said, okay, yeah. So he went and visited with Susie in Louisiana, in Lafayette. And after asking questions and making sure that she was not involved, because he was like,
he needed to rule her out.
He then asked her to start thinking about the crime scene or what about the crime scene itself and to see if anything could have been odd to her. Right. And Susie,
because she knew her husband best.
She knew her husband best. And she's like, yes. She's like, I was just surprised that when they found Greg, they actually, her thing was like, I can't believe it was so hot in there. Mm-hmm. Because that's not like Greg. Está mal eso. Algo está pasando because he always had it real cold. Especially, like I said before, especially in September. In September. Because, we're really close.
I mean, I know it's September is like fall weather, but not here.
Not here.
It's still like it is. Summer will last until up to maybe November.
Yeah. So it was really hot. So then Detective Brennan called Detective Manzana and asked if they could get together and meet up and maybe they can go over the case. Mm-hmm. And Detective Manzana was happy to go over the case and maybe some new fresh eyes can take a look into it.
Yeah.
And, maybe he can find something.
Yeah.
So that he came to Beaumont, Detective Brennan came to Beaumont to meet up with Detective Manzana. So after visiting the crime scene one time, And seeing the crime scene photos, Detective Brandon said, I think I solved the case.
No fucking way.
Yeah. He's like, I saw it. I solved it. I know what happened. And so, of course, Detective Apple was like, there's no way. I've been through this so many times. I've seen all the pictures. There's no way. But Brandon,
just by looking at pictures.
Yeah. And also he went to the actual, to the room. So Detective Apple was
you
like.
You know who that reminds me of?
Who?
I don't know. You've never seen it. Have you seen Knives Out?
Knives Out?
Knives Out. Mm-mm. It's on Netflix. It's like a murder mystery movie. It has like big cast. There's 2 movies out, but it reminds me of the detective. His name is Benoit Blanc. You should watch it. It's pretty good. I like
Benoit Blanc.
Yeah, he's played by 007. Fuck,
cool.
I can't think of his name right now. It's
I don't know his name, but I know who 007 is.
Yeah.
So Detective Apple said, "There's no way, bro.
No, you did not.
No, you did not.
You lies." Julier. Just kidding.
Right? Julier. But Detective Brennan, or I mean PA, I don't know, because he's not a detective anymore. PI.
Private investigator.
I guess it's PI.
Yeah.
Brennan said, hear me out. Just listen to what I have to say. So
Damn, imagine just being that.
That's how good you are.
Yeah, no, that's how
maybe
good you
not
are.
good, but maybe he is good. Pero también on top of that, like he said, fresh eyes. Maybe he was just like.
And after speaking to Susie and doing his own little research
and stuff
I mean,
like
how
that.
long he had been doing that? So I'm sure you learn a whole bunch of shit throughout. Yeah.
A whole bunch. So then he said, "Hear me out. Call Susie, get her on the line, and then that way we can find. I need to ask her something."
Right.
So Detective Apple put her on the line. So he did, and Brennan asked if Greg was left-handed or right-handed.
Okay.
And she responded, he's right-handed. And he asked her, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yes. She said, yes, I'm positive. So here's his theory. He's saying that Greg's room, for it to be that hot, the AC must have been turned off by him or by someone or something else. So they had proof that Greg had blown out the fuse or the breaker in the room, so that would have had turned off the AC. Right. So when the power came back on, the AC must have not come back on.
So he would have had to turn it on, right?
Yes. But maybe because it was already cold in there, he didn't.
He thought that it was just going to turn back on by itself?
No. Maybe because Greg was like, it was already cold in there from it being on, because he had it so cold that he didn't realize that it was off. It must have taken him time to realize that. So the AC must mean that the AC was off. So it must mean that Greg had to have died not much after the fuse was blown.
Right.
Which is something that they had already kind of.
It gives it like a timeline, more narrow timeline.
Exactly. So he was thinking anywhere between 8:30 p.m. and 9. Not only that, but whatever happened to Greg must have happened suddenly. So it seemed like he was running towards the door and passed his cigarette, because he has it on the right hand side. Y se lo pasó to the left hand.
So he was going to open the door.
Because he was going to open the door, right?
Right.
But then he fell.
Algo le pasó.
So something must have, but it was inside the room.
Right.
That's something that they knew it was. And
inside
so it was
the room,
it was a quick response of Greg. Algo le pasó. He passed the cigarette to the other fingers.
To the left hand.
And he passed out. The 2 detectives started to question the other people again around them. The electricians were probably the ones, because they actually saw them leave the room after the murder.
Okay, after what would have been the time of death of Mr. Gregg.
Which was only 30 minutes. So they saw them actually leave in the CCTV footage, right?
So it fit a little bit. Puzzle. I mean, pieces of the puzzle were coming together.
So while they interviewed them again, and the men said the same thing. Yes, we did not hear anything. We don't know anybody, blah, blah, blah. So Detective Brandon was like, hey, you know what? We should ask other people that kind of hang with them. So like bars and stuff like that. So I think they heard in a boarding house that someone had commented something about the gun went off.
Okay.
So then that brings those people back in, the electricians. They're like, okay, something has to...
They're lying.
Yeah, they're lying. So after that, excuse me. So then after they spoke to that person that was like, hey, I heard something about, talkings or talks
guys.
Within the guys.
I mean, guys son más chismosos que mujeres anyway.
Big time, bro.
So they
big time. Mi marido es un pinche chismoso. Pero no chismoso, like he doesn't tell me shit.
He likes to gossip.
But he likes to gossip. He's like, ¿qué pasó? I'm like, no seas.
I want to know.
No seas pinche chismoso. So after the interview, they went back to the crime scene and they looked everywhere again. And Detective Brandon noticed that there was an indentation in the wall. So he wondered if there was another indentation on the other side.
Okay.
So I read somewhere that it was on the wall, and another place I read that it was on the door that was kind of adjacent.
Connecting.
Yeah, But I know it was a wall. I'm not sure.
It was in between.
It was in between
those two rooms.
And guess what? There was on the other side an indentation as well.
También.
So the most interesting part about the hole was that the electricians, it was a hole. So kind of like como una rayada.
Yeah.
Pero you could see through.
Yeah.
So then the thing is, when they got closer to the other side, because they could see it on Greg's side, but they couldn't see it on the other side.
Okay.
So when they went over and got closer, there was like some gooey shit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Some gooey, and there's pictures of it, and it was pink. And when they got closer, it was toothpaste.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Once they cleaned the toothpaste off, they shined, those lasers que ponen para ver. And when they shined the laser, that hole directly hit where Greg was sitting.
En su cama. Mirando la movie. What?
Yeah. So the laser actually was able to see where whatever hit something was hit. So both detectives were like, okay, so now we know that he was shot.
Like with what? Because I feel like you would have been able to, like, even on Greg's side, right? Like you would have been able to see a bullet hole.
Well, yeah, but if they covered it on that side, well, let me finish.
Okay,
it's kind of like it keeps.
No, it's just internal thoughts. Sorry.
So they brought the coroner this information.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, I don't know if a lot of people know this, or maybe they don't, but I know, I'm pretty sure you know. Once a coroner says that this is the cause of death, you can't fucking change it.
Right.
Like, this is the cause of death because he's the one that saw scientifically this is what happened. So they had to
go back to him
and talk to him and said, hey, you know what? Something is not right. You need to bring his case back up, or his findings, because it had to have been caused by a gunshot. Yeah.
So, but I mean, now that they have that information that it could have been caused by a gunshot to the coroner, you'd think he'd be like, okay, let's, let me open this back up and see.
It's kind of harder than you think, because,
right,
coroners don't want to be...
That's what I'm saying. But you think that they'd be like, okay, yeah, like, let's do it, right? Let's solve this. But not everybody's like that, obviously.
Not only that, but coroners, like, they don't want you to tell them that they're wrong, tampoco. Just like everybody in life, you don't want...
No, but that's the thing. Like, you would think. That's the thing.
So, yeah, you would think that that's what they would do.
They should.
They should. I mean, to get... the peace for the family, not only that, and the victim, to get them justice.
Like, you would think también, because he saw Greg's insides, like he was saying they were all fucked up. So,
yeah. So the body couldn't be re-examined because he actually was cremated.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
After that, they do take pictures, as you know. So after looking at the pictures of the bodies and the autopsy, and what they saw is what they needed to confirm, that he had been shot. So the bullet entered Greg's body through the groin.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. So it went in there and it bounced around his body.
Inside?
And that is why he had all of the messed up organs. And it came out through his heart. But it stayed lodged in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So then what happened was it literally was like a ping pong. It was like going everywhere.
Así me lo imaginé when you said it bounced around inside.
So the detectives re-interviewed again. They were like, okay.
Fucking electricians.
Yeah, the electricians had something to do with it. So they re-interviewed Tim Steinmetz, which is one of the men that was actually, the room was rented out to him. And
I thought it was Lance.
No, it was
Tim
Lance
and
Tim.
Yeah.
So the detectives, were like, hey, it was just routine. We're just wanting to make sure that you're good, that you didn't see anything else, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, nope, everything was the same. They even asked him, hey, are you sure there's nothing? He's like, no, everything's the same. I didn't hear anything. And so then what they did was they make him sign a statement that said, okay, you don't know anything. Let's just get you ready to go. Let me get you to sign the statement. So when he signed the statement, they were like, oh, by the way, you're actually lying, because we know that something else happened because we have this evidence. So now you either talk, or we're going to put you in jail for filing a false police report.
Yeah.
So then he's like, holy shit, like
they got him.
They got him. So he started to spill the frijoles.
Mr. Tim
dijo, ¿sabes qué? Yo me vale madre, voy a decir aquí, I'm not going to jail. So he started to spill the frijoles, and he and his roommate, Lance Mullet, were drinking that night with Trent, right? So Mueller, which is Lance, then asked Pisano, Trent, to go down to get a bottle of whiskey that he had in his car, or in his truck, whatever. I don't know what it was. He also asked him, while you're down there, bring in my gun. That was a 9mm pistol.
Okay.
So le dijo, while you're down there, tráeme la
Pistola.
whiskey, tráeme la Buchanan,
Buchanan.
y tráeme
La
la
pistola.
pistola. When he brought it back up, el otro bien menso dijo, sí, te la traigo, güey, no hay pedo. Y entonces, when he brought the gun back into the room, Lance started to point the gun at Tim. Porque andaba bien pedo, güey.
You guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah. So he started pointing the gun at Tim and at Trent and then back at Tim and back at Trent.
Bro, I'm sorry. Like, are you consider these people your friends? Because I know none of my fucking friends would ever fucking point a gun at me, even if
First
they were
of all,
drunk, bitch.
I hope none of my friends have guns.
Be like, first of all, I'm never gonna fucking hang out with you ever fucking again.
Yeah. But I mean, it's guys. Like, I don't know how that fucking works. I don't know.
I don't know. Well,
I'm not a
that's
guy.
true. Like, do you not have the safety on? Like, obviously not. Did he take it off? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. Questions.
I
Anyway,
have questions. But anyway, so they were playing around. He was playing around with the gun. So even Tim was like, at one point, I even like ducked because I thought he was gonna shoot.
Oh my
like,
God.
Shoot. So they were like, hey man, stop.
Like,
Stop
chill.
playing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Cálmate, güey. What the fuck?
It's not that. We were just chilling.
Estamos pisteando tranquilos. Like, what are you doing? So when he was playing around with the gun and he was drunk, obviously, the gun went off.
Right.
And so when it went off, it missed Mr. Trent by very little. Like it was like rayando. But it did hit the wall or the door. I don't know because it's a different story. So immediately after that, Lance took the gun away and took it back to his car. Was like, let me put this shit back.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot somebody. Then after that, they got out of the room really fast is when they come out on the CCTV and they went back to drinking.
Like nothing.
Like nothing.
Okay.
So they do recall, he says that he does recall hearing some coughing because he said that they were he was like, shit, was there somebody there? Did we hit somebody? They didn't even know like if they had hit anything. But he's like, when we heard the coughing, we were like, okay, so he's alive.
Fine.
He's fine.
They just hit the wall or the door, whatever.
Yeah, the door.
Yeah.
So then, but he could have been coughing because he was dying.
Yeah, but they didn't think that. They just heard noise
So
or
then
whatever.
they're like, okay, you're half drunk. They're intoxicated. Let's just go back and drink, whatever. They didn't give a shit, basically. Because that's what it is. They didn't give a shit. Because they could have knocked or told the authorities when they were there, hey, you know what? Something happened.
Oh, you could have called the police.
You could have called the police, whatever, but they didn't. All they did was patch the fucking thing with the toothpaste, which was Mr. Lance. He patched it.
They wanted the deposit bag?
Apparently. But I mean, you're an electrician. You work in the field. You could have done a little bit better than toothpaste. No?
But you have some.
And pink?
But anyway, good thing that you're that dumb. Because
no, I'm just saying.
Like you think, right?
Like you would think. Like I'm pretty sure you know how to patch a fucking thing. Like I don't know. That's just me. Like you work out in the fucking construction.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, after that, the next morning, when they found out was that Tim saw that Greg's body was being wheeled out in the morning.
Ah.
So that's how they found out that
they had
killed him. And Tim did admit that they never tried to check on him. He's like, yeah, we didn't. He's like, we thought that they were okay because we heard some noise, but they didn't know that he was dying. So I'm thinking in my head, girl, like, okay, so you didn't think to tell somebody about that after that?
Right?
Like, bitch, you fucking literally
killed somebody.
Yeah. But anyway, after Tim confessing to the investigators, they had him call Lance. Or like, hey, call Lance and tell him that you've already given the information and he has to
come in.
So that he can turn himself in.
Yeah.
On October the 29th of 2012, Lance Mueller pleaded no contest to manslaughter, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was told by the judge that he was getting sentenced just because of the way that he acted after he actually had shot Mr. Greg. After the gun had gone off, they should have at least gone to try to check on someone or tell somebody that had happened, that happened, and to make sure that they were okay, because he could have avoided spending even time in jail.
Right.
Because he could have been like, hey, it was an accident. Tell the truth.
But he could have just gotten like parole or like fucking
something, but
what else is called when you're like on parole?
Parole, or ¿cómo se llama when they put that thing on your ankle bracelet? ¿Cómo se llama?
But that's under when you're in house arrest.
Well, something. He could have gone
he just was going to be on parole.
Yeah, because it was an accident. He didn't know he was doing it.
They didn't know somebody was next door.
But because of
he was reckless though, because he had a gun.
Because he had a gun, and because of the fact that he didn't go and check on them, is why the judge gave him the 10 years.
So, are you going to talk about anything about Trent and Mr. Tim?
They didn't get any time. No. They didn't get any time, which I didn't like that. But I guess because Tim did talk.
That's true. And the one that shot the gun was
Mueller.
fucking Lance
And then for the other guy, I mean, he just went to go get it for him, but he didn't put it back. Lance put it back in his gun, in the car, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't.
That's so crazy. Dude, that just must suck to go out like that.
Yeah.
You're just minding your fucking business, thriving, being with your wife that you got remarried to for the second time because you guys love each other that much.
Yeah.
And you have your own business. I think I already said that. And just there watching your movie, what you do all the fucking time.
All the time.
That's just routine.
Yeah.
And then you just, these dumbasses are next door fucking around and then you just fucking die.
Yeah. And then the thing is, and the reason that they think that he was trying to get help. And
that's why he was trying
worse.
to get to the door.
That was, yeah. And so then but since he was such a smoker, like he always had oh, wow. Okay. He always had a cigarette in his hand. So that's why he had transferred the cigarette over to his other hand. So that is the story of Mr. Greg Fleniken.
That's so sad.
And
I can't imagine his wife.
Well, I mean, she was the one that pushed to find out who did it.
Yeah, but I think like you want to know, but then maybe I feel like, okay, you find out, but then you find out that it was
something stupid. Yeah. I mean, because you don't know. That's why you have to be careful with those kind of things because you never know what your actions could cause. Like, I mean, they never thought that the gun was gonna go off.
Right.
You know, they were just fucking around, you know?
But it was an accident.
It was an accident.
But then the way that, like you said, the way that the judge said that they acted afterwards is the reason why you're fucking serving time. I bet you he's out now.
I'm pretty sure he's out. But I'm just saying, like, bro, I just can't believe it because you think like I said, my husband says they do that all the time. You know, they're out there just working, you know, just trying to get a paycheck. And then next thing you know, you end up killing somebody because of your fucking stupid ass actions.
That's crazy. That's always scary. Like people bust out guns and then they've been drinking and shit. First of all, don't be busting out a gun for no fucking reason.
And you're drinking.
Because you're fucking drinking.
Alcohol and weapons do not mix. Never. You're never gonna have a good outcome after alcohol and drink.
But what makes you want to bring out a gun?
It's a man thing, dude. It's a man thing.
That just blows my mind. I'm like,
it's a macho man Texas people thing.
Not just Texas, bitch.
Well, I mean, but because we live in Texas, and this is where it was in Texas. So I mean, that's why. But it's not in Texas. But I know that. But anyway, so that was the case of Mr. Greg Fleniken. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening again. We got a notification that we are up to 2,500 downloads.
Yay!
So, I mean, we're really proud of ourselves, but not only that, but we really appreciate everybody that listens.
Everybody that downloads. Everybody that comments. Everybody that DMs us. Everybody that sends us coffee. You know, every single person that has anything to do with Cafecito and Crime, we really appreciate you guys. Do. Like, we really can never tell you how much we appreciate it. Yeah, enough. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, whenever you're listening. So yeah, thank you.
Bye.